Hello everyone, this is Tormuse, and I'm picking up where I left off in Doki Doki Storm, into Act 2, with Yandra Yuri going on there. Yeah, a couple things I wanted to mention before I start. As I'm going through my developer commentary here, there was one point I forgot to mention in the previous video, that Yuri's line where she says, "You're so weird, Tormuse," or MC. It doesn't quite fit with what I had established, that that word "weird" is like sort of entwined with pain in Yuri's mind and her memory. So maybe she shouldn't have said that. But that's canon dialogue. I tried my best to make the canon dialogue fit with my, you call it my new headcanon, the Storm canon, maybe? I don't know. This new narrative that I'm creating here. It doesn't always fit, is what I'm saying. But looking back, it could easily have made it fit better if, like, Natsuki had said something in the mall scene, something like, it's okay to be weird, or, don't be so hard on yourself for that, or whatever. Oh well, missed opportunity. Maybe something for a future version. And I can correct the spelling of favorite. Yeah, anyway, I just wanted to mention that. But yeah, continuing on, we're starting Act 2. This is where stuff gets nuts. This is where it just really gets out there. Glitch text. Got the glitched out text box there to signify Yuri's mind breaking. It's Tuesday. I sit in my classroom seat, pretending to look over my school notes. It's hard to focus on the class as it usually is for me. Really, all I can think of is how much I'm looking forward to escaping to my safe haven, the literature club. Though it is a bit laughable that we call it a club when it doesn't have enough members to be recognized as a club. Monica made the sensible decision to make me vice president, but as it is, the title's meaningless. It's just the two of us ruling over Natsuki. It's rather silly that we have more executive members than regular members, but I suppose I shouldn't complain, since it gives me the opportunity to read in the company of others, which is nice enough, even if those others include someone as thoroughly unpleasant as Natsuki. Come to think of it, I wonder why the school allows the club to operate when it only has 3 members. I think there's a reason, but I can't seem to remember what it is. My memory feels strangely hazy today. I suppose Monica must have some influence over the teachers. She is rather popular after all. Anyway, it's not exactly true to say that the club is all I'm looking forward to. What I'm really looking forward to is the time afterward, when I get to go home and cut myself. Few things are enjoyable to me in life as the exquisite pain of my cutting habit, and all the thousands of little sensations that accompany it, the sight of the blade entering my skin, the smell of my blood, the taste of my blood, the feeling of my blood rising to the surface and trickling out in little rivers, and all the pretty little scars it leaves in my body. Did I mention this thing gets dark? Did I mention that this act gets nuts? This is where it gets deliberately off-putting, because not only is Yuri very, very different, but it's like, what the fuck, So yeah, that's what the content warnings are for. Heed all content warnings. Moving on. I shudder in delight imagining it. I feel really good today. Surprisingly good, actually. It makes me forget about my back pain. It even makes me forget about my social anxiety. I wonder if this is an omen that good fortune is coming my way. As casually as possible, I reach down for my bag on the floor next to my seat. I just want to look at her for a second. I gently open my bag. She's so beautiful. It's making me wet just looking at her. Yes, I wrote that line. I brought Vernita today. Her green handle with the leafy pattern suggests nature, peace, serenity. Something I could probably use right now considering how excited I'm feeling. I reach down into my bag and run the tip of my finger along Vernita's blade. Just the tip. I'll give her more later. I smile at the sight of the drop of blood starting to bloom on the surface of my skin. I put my finger in my mouth to taste my fluids while I resume pretending to look over my notes. Um, yeah. So, note of explanation. This these little lines, these little notes here are. I built on the original canon in which Monica remarks that Yuri's self-harm, quote unquote, may even be a sexual thing. So I took that and just ran with it. And just this whole act is going to be a series of unsexy sex scenes, I guess. Or, you know, Yuri sexualizing her cutting habit. Probably should have put additional content warnings about that aspect, but I'm just this is me taking refuge in audacity, as the trope is named. I'm just, the intention is to make everything in this act just so horrific that I don't know, audience just gets numb to it, I hope, and doesn't question my mental health too much. Okay, moving on. It occurs to me to wonder why I can't just start cutting myself right now. And then I remember that's against my rules. Rules? Where did that come from? Since when do I have rules for this? I can't deny it, though. I have a vague memory that I made rules for myself around my cutting habit. This feels very unsettling. I'm sure that my memory is normally better than this. Why would I make rules for myself? Now that I really think about it, I definitely made a rule that I'm not supposed to let anyone know about my cutting habit. I hastily closed my bag and tried to hide my cut finger from everyone's view. I hope nobody saw I did that. That would be embarrassing, I think. Do I have other rules? I just instinctively used the word rules, plural, so I must have others. But I can't remember any of them. Just then the bell rings, signifying the end of class. So yeah, establishing right away that not only is Yuri different, but her mind and memory is scattered. This is Monica trying to rewrite her personal story, basically. So she's gonna have a lot of disconcerting experiences like that. Because as much as I wanted to build the horror, I mean, like this, it's gonna have. There's a lot of gore, quite frankly. There's a lot of jump scares, but I don't want that to be the focus of the horror. Part of the horror is Yuri losing her mind and knowing that there's something wrong, that something's going wrong with her, but being unable to stop it, unable to do anything about it, and not really understanding or even knowing, what's wrong. Yeah. Anyway, I'm still puzzling over all this as I head into the club room. These memory issues are souring my good mood. Right now, I just feel like I want to get back to my book. Hi, Yuri. I'm so lost in thought I almost ran into Monica. Oh, hi, Monica. How are you doing today? I try to recall what I was feeling before my memory issues. Well, now that you mention it, I'm feeling very good. Better than I have in a long time. That's great to hear, Yuri. I'm just running an errand right now, getting supplies for the festival, but I'll see you back at the club room, okay? Keep an eye on Natsuki for me. Very well. Enter the club room. Natsuki is in one of the seats with her head down on the desk. Is she sleeping? I don't really care. I can't be bothered trying to figure out what her problem is. Just find my own seat and pull out my book. Try to focus on my reading, but my mind keeps wandering. I definitely feel different than usual today. I can't shake the feeling that this is a sign that something special is about to happen. After a few moments, Monica energetically bursts in through the door. I'm back, and I brought a guest with me. Eh? A guest? Now I understand. I know why I've been feeling this way. The world is sending me a message. A message that my one true love was coming. My heart is pounding harder than it ever has in my life just looking at him. I feel so delighted that I want to pull out my knife and start cutting myself right here and now. I'm vaguely aware that Monica and Natsuki are talking to him, but I can't seem to focus. My head is swimming. My hands feel clammy. It takes great effort to stay calm enough to keep my breathing from getting too erratic. But I'm gradually able to get it under control, and my heart rate slows to a more manageable level, too. I don't even remember getting out of my seat, but I'm already standing in front of him. Natsuki's making him uncomfortable. I have to stop her. Natsuki? Anyway, this is Natsuki, energetic as usual. And this is Yuri, the vice president. It's nice to meet you. Yeah. It's a note. It says my love instead of Tormuse. She doesn't know his name yet. Yeah, it's nice to meet both of you. So I ran into Tormuse in the classroom, and he decided to come check out the club. Isn't that great? Tormuse. His name is Tormuse. Wait, Monica, didn't I tell you to let me know in advance before you brought anyone new? I was going to, well, you know. Sorry. I didn't forget that, but I just happened to run into him. Ha! With Natsuki denied the opportunity to make cupcakes, this could work to my advantage. In that case, I should at least make some tea, right? Yeah, that would be great. I get my kettle from the closet and leave the club room to fill it. But my whole body is shaking so badly that I've only taken a few steps out when I have to brace myself against the wall to stay upright. I'm breathing so heavily, it feels like I'm hyperventilating. Who knew love could hit me so hard? Tormuse. I remember reading about love at first sight from children's books ages ago, but I never realized how very real it is. This exhilarating feeling is the best thing I've ever experienced. Now I desperately want to cut myself more than ever. Oh no. Vernita is in my bag, back inside the club room. Should I go back for her? I stand there for a moment, paralyzed with indecision. Well, if I'm really keeping my habit a secret, then it'll be too obvious if I go back just to pick up my knife. I feel frustrated. Why did I leave her in my bag? But now that I think about it, there really is no other place to put her, not if I want to keep her hidden. These stupid uniforms don't have any pockets. How impractical. I'll have to worry about it later. For now, I should just focus on the tea. Yeah, a couple things happening here. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, the fact that her knives have names now, playing on the fact that she has a habit of, almost anthropomorphizing them. Now, I guess she's truly anthropomorphizing them now, like seeing them as though they're people and not just inanimate objects. That's just another sign of her losing her mind. Oh yeah, and the lack of pockets, that's just a bit of social commentary there. It's another one of those gender roles, those stupid gender role things that clothing intended for women typically doesn't have pockets or has very small pockets. Yeah, I mean, like compared to like something that I've got, like, okay, I guess you can't really see it. Like I can fit my whole, like my wallet in there, or I know. Like okay, here's a 500 milliliter, 591 milliliter water bottle. That just completely disappears in there. Like pockets in clothing intended for men. Sorry, I hope you can hear me. Away from the microphone. Yeah, pockets in clothing that's intended for men are like super deep, and you can hold a ton of stuff. But it's common for clothing intended women to either not have pockets, or the pockets are like too small to even hold a cell phone, which feeds into the necessity for women to have purses. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling now. It's just one of those little. I talked about gender roles before. It's like, why do these conventions exist? It's just one of those things that's kind of annoying for women, because the clothing. I mean, okay, this has been getting totally sidetracked here. Okay, just briefly. I mean, it's just part of the whole notion that women are supposed to look nice and not necessarily have something that's practical. Anyway, moving on. I quickly prepare the tea. I look over at Tormuse and the two girls, where they've arranged a set of seats together. Monica's animatedly talking to Tormuse, seemingly trying to keep him engaged. Natsuki seems disinterested in the whole conversation. She looks like she barely has the energy to keep her head up. can never imagine trying to compete with someone as popular as Monica, but for the sake of my one true love, I have to try. I try to muster a sense of confidence as I bring my tea set over to the group. Oh yeah, another thing that I do, Act 2, to signify Yuri's single-mindedness, is that MC is 100% always in the center. Whereas in Act 1, he would happen to be standing, like he would be standing wherever he's standing. But now, like, Yuri's focus is always constantly on him. Anyway, my hands are shaking so much, it's a miracle I don't spill any tea on anyone. You keep a whole tea set in this classroom? Termi's noticed me. My heart skips a beat. Don't worry, the teachers gave us permission. After all, doesn't a hot cup of tea help you enjoy a good book? I guess? That was more non-committal than I hoped. Don't let yourself get intimidated. Yuri's just trying to impress you. That's not... I'm outraged. How dare Monica try to sabotage me in front of my lover? But I can't bring myself to say anything to her. I'm fidgeting with my long hair and my eagerness to do something with my hands. I meant that, you know. I believe you. Well, tea and reading might not be a pastime for me, but I at least enjoy tea. He enjoys tea! Of course, anyone that I'm destined to be with would. I'm glad. I can't help grinning to myself. And of course he would have a love of books, too. So, Tormuse, what kind of things do you like to read? Well, he hesitates, looking embarrassed. He's shy. How cute. Sorry, that line, I kind of cracks me up a bit. Yuri, the shy one, is anyway, remarking on that. Moving on. Manga? ... What? I feel a lurching sensation inside me. He can't like manga. That's what Natsuki likes. I can already see Natsuki perking up. The first time she's shown interest in this conversation. No, this is wrong. He can't end up with Natsuki. I feel confused and saddened. Not much of a reader, I guess. Well, that can change. Of course, he'd be willing to change for the sake of our love. Anyway, what about you, Yuri? Well, let's see. Now's my chance to impress him. I find myself idly playing with my teacup as I collect my thoughts. My favorites are usually novels that build deep and complex fantasy worlds. The level of creativity and craftsmanship behind them is amazing to me, and telling a good story in such a foreign world is equally impressive. I feel my confidence coming back, and I know my love of books will make him love me. But you know, I like a lot of things. Stories with deep psychological elements usually immerse me as well. Isn't it amazing how a writer can so deliberately take advantage of your own lack of imagination to completely throw you for a loop? Anyway, I've been reading a lot of horror lately. I read a horror book once. Excellent. I'm so pleased I want to jump up and down in excitement, but that would probably be inappropriate. I'd expect that from you, Yuri. It suits your personality. Is Monica able to read my mind, or am I just that obvious? Oh, is that so? Really, if a story makes me think or takes me to another world, then I really can't put it down. Surreal horror is often very successful at changing the way you look at the world, if only for a brief moment. I hate horror. Who cares? Oh, why is that? Well, Natsuki looks over at Tormuse for a split second. Never mind. What was that about? She better not think of trying to move in on him. That's right. You usually like to write about cute things, don't you, Natsuki? What? What gives you that idea? You left a piece of scrap paper behind last club meeting. It looked like you were working on a poem called Don't Say It Out Loud. Give that back. Fine. Natsuki, you write your own poems? Well, I guess sometimes. Why do you care? I think that's impressive. What? Why don't you share them sometime? What? No, you wouldn't like them. Not a very confident writer yet. Why does he keep talking to her? You should talk to me. I understand how Natsuki feels. Sharing that level of writing takes more than just confidence. The truest form of writing is writing to oneself. You must be willing to open up to your readers, exposing your vulnerabilities and showing even the deepest reaches of your heart. Do you have writing experience too, Yuri? Maybe if you share some of your work, you can set an example and help Natsuki feel comfortable enough to share hers. Share my work? With the club? I don't know how to reply to that. The only one I want to share with is Tormuse. I guess it's the same for Yuri. There's a pause. Trying to think of what to say to Tormuse next, but I can't concentrate. For some reason. I'm distracted by his pants. I can't help staring at them. It's like my eyes are transfixed by them. They have pockets. Yeah, remember that part where I said I was kind of going for maximizing audience discomfort, but particularly when it comes to any heterosexual boys in the audience. Yeah, this is me just trying to take it to another level, you know. Moving on, but also making a joke about it. It is so unfair that the boys' version of the uniform has pockets and the girls' version does not. His whole hand fits in there. Incredible! I could easily fit 6 or 7 of my knives in there at least. I have a mad urge to put my hands in his pockets to find out how deep they go. Would that be inappropriate? Probably. I should probably resist that urge too. His beautiful hands. Look at how easily they slide in and out. It makes me want to... Hey, I just got an idea. How about this? I reluctantly turn my gaze back to Monica. Let's all go home and write a poem of our own. Then next time we meet, we'll all share them with each other. That way, everyone is even. I don't know how to respond to that. What's the point of the exercise if nothing matters except Tormuse? I mean, I thought it was a good idea. Well... But on the other hand, it does give me more chances to interact with Tormuse, and besides, it's worth it to see the discomfort on Natsuki's face. I think you're right, Monica. We should probably start finding activities for all of us to participate in together. I did decide to take on the responsibility of vice president after all. I need to do my best to nurture the club as well as its members. Besides, now that we have a new member, it seems like a good step for us to take. Do you agree as well, Tormuse? Hold on, there's still one problem. What's that? I never said I would join this club. What? Monica may have convinced me to stop by, but I never made any decision. I still have other clubs to look at, and, this is impossible. How can I be with my love if he isn't in the club? But, I'm sorry. I thought we would be together forever. I look around at everyone in despair. My life seems to be falling apart right in front of me. I guess I need to tell you the truth, Tormuse. The thing is, we don't have enough members yet to form an official club. We need 4. And I've been trying really, really hard to find new members. If we don't find one more before the festival... Maybe Monica really is reading my mind. She saw that she had to set things right by restoring my lover to me. Right. Okay, I've decided then. I'll join the literature club. I'm so elated I want to hug him while jumping up and down. It's a nod to Sayori's bit in the Act 1. I'm sure that would be inappropriate, though. I'll try to contain my excitement and focus on getting my breathing back under control. You really did scare me for a moment. I mean, if you really just left after all this, I'd be super pissed. I wish Natsuki would just shut up. She's ruining the moment. It doesn't take away from the fact that I'm on the path to a new leg of the journey of my life. It makes my heart pound the more I think about it. I completely lose any ability to follow the conversation after that. Monica's still talking to him. I wish she would stop. How am I going to get with him if she keeps doing that? If my heart wasn't pounding so hard, I could probably come up with something to say. I try to occupy myself with cleaning up my tea set, but I just can't seem to calm down. Finally, he leaves. My heart rate starts to slow down a little. This all feels wonderful, but I'm really going to have to try hard to control myself if I'm going to make this work. I need to come up with a plan. Yeah, incidentally, note that the pattern of that heartbeat effect with the color-changing text box is different now. In Act 1, that heartbeat effect accompanies... generally it accompanies her desire to self-harm. But Act 1, it happens when she's feeling stressed and anxious, and or depressed, or just in some state where she feels either agitated or feels like she has to punish herself or whatever. But in this case, it's different. She's she's getting the urge when she's aroused, basically. When she's when she's most fixated on MC. So yeah, little detail there. Moving on. I think I'm going to need every advantage I can get if I'm going to have my happy ending with him. I see Natsuki walking ahead of me in the hallway. On a whim, I start taking longer strides to catch up with her. Natsuki? Ah! Ow, Yuri, you startled me. What's up? I give her my biggest smile. If you go near him, I'll kill you. What? What the hell? I skip away ahead of her, humming to myself as I go. I hear her voice calling after me. Are you trying to be edgy or something? Yeah, I considered cutting out that bit there between Yuri and Natsuki. I kind of liked it for the fact that it's sort of a nod to the scene in Act 1 where they're more friendly to each other. But this time around, I wanted to really set up that their attitude toward each other, or at least Yuri's attitude toward Natsuki, is very different. She's a lot more hostile. Anyway, moving on. I feel a lot calmer now. I'm still having a little trouble concentrating, but it's clear that I have to do everything I can to show Tormuse that I love him. I should give him a gift. I immediately change direction and head toward the bookstore. I know just what to give him, a copy of my favorite book. I pick up my pace, flooded with excitement. I'm running as I enter the bookstore. My heart is racing again as I head straight to the horror section. It doesn't take me long to find what I'm looking for. I'd recognize that bright red eye in the front cover anywhere. After paying for it, I carry it in front of me. I'm having so much trouble containing my excitement that I end up running all the way home. I'm panting from exhaustion as I get to my room. I set my bag and my new book on the floor. I lay back on my bed, a contented smile on my face, despite the pain in my chest from running. I hug one of my pillows, pretending it's Tormuse. There's that CG again. There's something a little different about it. I can't help laughing. I laugh and I laugh until I can hardly breathe from laughing. I allow the full glory of the realization of my destiny to wash over me. I feel warm and tingly all over. I laugh until I have tears in my eyes, as is only natural now that fate is smiling on me. Everything in my life has been building up to today. I don't have to be alone anymore. I'll have Tormuse by my side and everything will be perfect. I let out a long sigh of happiness. I squeeze the pillow harder. I stroke it with my hands. I kiss it. I pretend to put my knife into it. Some small part of me reminds me that it's inappropriate to have such lustful thoughts about someone that I just met. But this is love. It's different. That makes it okay, right? And speaking of lust... So, yeah, some differences here. Obviously, those eyes are different. And also the image is generally darker. There's a little... just to have a sort of an air of sinisterness about it. It's because it is to help signify, like, how very different her attitude is. Not to mention that obviously, Act 1, she was slow to develop romantic feelings toward him, you know, at first she barely was able to entertain the idea of being friends, and now she just jumped straight to single-minded, I have to be with him forever, you know. That really is an intense look there. I set the pillow aside and sit up. It's time for the one thing I've been looking forward to all day. I go to my bag and pick up Pernita. I haven't forgotten about you, my little darling. I kiss her handle. Don't worry. Just because I've met my soulmate doesn't mean I care about you any less. You'll always be my dearest friend. I turn to my knife collection hanging on the wall. That goes for all of you. My friends with benefits. I giggle to myself again. Yeah, it's kind of iffy about that line, friends with benefits. Doesn't really feel like a Yuri thing to say, but I still wanted to harp on the, hints that this is a sexualized thing for her now. I giggled to myself again. My anticipation is building, but I know I should really clean Vernita up first, since she's been in my bag. As I enter the bathroom, I catch my delighted reflection in the mirror. Well, hello there. How was your day? Mine was amazing. I met my future husband. His name is Tormuse. We're going to be together forever. And we'll make love and cut each other all night, every night. Here she goes, gets into the yonder eyes there. I'm so excited, I almost forget what I came in here for. That's an unsettling expression. I open the medicine cabinet and get the bottle of rubbing alcohol. I don't even know why it's in here. It's so inconvenient. I should just keep it in my room from now on. I nearly trip over the book as I come in. Well, hello to you too. I pick it up off the floor and set it on the bed. Out of curiosity, I go to my bookcase and pull up my own copy of the book. I set it down next to the new one. They look like a pair of eyes gazing into me. I briefly considered getting yet another copy, so there'll be a third eye, just like in the story. And I find myself getting lost in fantasy. He's been captured. How dare they try to take him from me? But with Vernita's help, I know we'll be reunited. I tiptoe around my room, imagining that I'm in the human experiment prison. There he is, tied to the bed. I duck down next to my bookcase. I'll have to choose my moment carefully when they're distracted. I imagine the two scientists engage in conversation with their backs to me. Now's my chance. I sneak up behind him and I cut his throat. I mime the act with Vernita, imagining the torrents of blood coming out as he drops to the floor. The other scientist turns to me in surprise, and with deadly precision I put Vernita right into his heart. I stab at the air in front of me. I watch the life leave his eyes with satisfaction. And with that taken care of, I turn to my lover. So, yeah. Obviously this version of her fantasy is very different, a lot more violent. And I say, it's good to see you again, Tormuse. We'll never be apart again. And then he says, I do my best to imitate his voice, I guess it was destiny that we would meet here. I see that you're skilled with that knife. And I say, her name is Vernita, and in time, you'll know her as intimately as I do. And he says, I can't wait. I approach him slowly. I can see in his eyes that he's longing for this as much as I am, and with one swift movement, I cut his hand off. I pretend to bring it to my lips to kiss it, imagining the blood running down my chin. Soon, his beautiful hand will be a part of me. The more I think about it, the more aroused I feel. My hands are shaking from excitement as I sit on my bed, wiping down Vernita's blade with alcohol. It's time. I want you. I lift up my skirt. Oh boy. This is the moment where it's like, Yuri, no! In fact, you could probably title this whole act, Yuri, no! I should probably title the video, Yuri, no! Anyway. I choose a spot on my right thigh and wipe that down too. The extra sting from the alcohol will make the experience that much more intense. I gently, ceremoniously bring Vernita's blade in contact with my thigh. Ever so slowly, I drag her from left to right. She breaks through my skin effortlessly. I moan with pleasure as I see drops of blood trickle out of the cut I'm making. I extend my knee so that the blood can run down the long length of my leg. I shudder with delight as a smell of blood hits my nostrils. I briefly entertain myself by watching the droplets of blood, wondering which one will reach the bottom first. The leftmost one wins the race easily since it has a head start. I lean back on my bed and sigh with contentment, letting the euphoria wash over me. I take a moment to recover, then sit up to get ready for the next cut. But then I notice something strange. I lift my skirt all the way up. I'm puzzled by what I see. The cut that I just made is the only one there. There are no other marks, or scars, or anything. I set Vernita down on my bedside table. There's something wrong here. I pull off my shoes and stockings. There are no marks on my lower legs or my feet either. I'm more than puzzled now. I'm feeling alarmed. I hastily strip off my uniform. I'm feeling more and more panicked the more I look at my body. There are no cuts on my abdomen, my breasts, or anywhere I can see or feel on my torso. No cuts on my neck, my back, buttocks. The only signs of cuts are a very orderly set of scars on my forearms, with only a few on my right arm, and all of them look old and healed over. How can this be? This makes no sense. I cut myself all the time, don't I? There should definitely be more marks than this. If I didn't know any better, I'd say it looks like I haven't cut myself for weeks. If not for the marks on my forearms, I might think I completely imagined that I had a cutting habit at all. It's almost as if the memory of someone who enjoys cutting was placed in someone else's body. You're almost there, Yuri. It's like she almost figured it out. That's kind of what I was going for there. Like, Monica only rewrote Yuri's mind basically to make her enjoy her cutting habit, but she still has the same body with only a few scars on her arms, and all her surroundings are still the same. It's just her mind that's different. Her memories. Oh yeah, and there's something else I was going to say. Well, okay, I'm not going to comment on that part. I'm just going to, generally, she's losing her mind. but she's just sort of starting to be conscious of the fact that she's losing her mind. I wish my memory wasn't feeling so unreliable today. As I try to cast my mind back, the word rules comes back to me again. I had a rule that I wouldn't cut myself away from home. I look at my hand, at the cut I made on my finger at school today. I guess I broke that rule. I think I also had a rule that said I wouldn't cut myself more than once a day. I look at the cut on my thigh. I guess I broke that rule too. Why did I make these rules? It's almost as if I thought that cutting myself was a bad thing. But that's absurd. I don't understand any of this. How bad is it that I broke my rules? The only thing I know for sure is that I feel very confused and unsettled right now. I look at Vernita, my blood glistening on her blade. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, but I don't think I'm in the mood anymore. I take some tissues from the tissue box on my bedside table and start wiping up the blood on my leg. Incidentally, I'm aware there's no bedside table. I considered commissioning an artist to add a bedside table, which would have I don't know, at least the box of tissues or something. A bedside light would be nice too, to emphasize the fact that she does a lot of reading in bed. It was taking so long to get this mod done though. In large part because I was waiting on art pieces. I didn't want to take the time to commission another artist just for one little thing that so far nobody's complained about. So it kind of would have been a waste probably if I had taken the extra time to make that, or have that made rather. Yeah, nobody's noticed or complained that she keeps referring to a bedside table and there's no bedside table. Oh well, just one of those things. Anyway, moving on. I walk over to my bag and feel a bit of relief when I find a box of bandages in there. At least some things are as I remember them. They're definitely physical signs that I have a cutting habit, they just don't exactly match my memory. But how much can I even trust my memory now? I continue pondering this as I apply bandages to the cut on my thigh. Could I be losing my mind? Come to think of it, I have a distant memory of classmates at school calling me crazy. Maybe they're right. I look down at my body again. The absence of scars is disturbing me. I should get dressed. I might as well change into my pajamas, since I won't be going out again today. As I change, I try to avoid looking at my hideous, scarless body. Well, as troubling as all of this is, I don't know if there's anything I can do about it right now. I should focus on more important things that I can be sure of, such as the fact that Tormuz is the love of my life and I have to do everything I can to be with him forever. I look over at the 2 books on my bed. Which one should I give him? But of course, I'm going to give him the new one. That's how he'll know I love him. Why did I even ask that? Such strange thoughts keep coming into my head. I slip the new book into my bag for tomorrow, then turn back to my bed and open up my old friend. Flipping through the pages brings back some measure of calm. I smile as I relive the events of the book that I know so well. I think I might like to reread it again. I place it in my bag next to the other one so I can bring it to school tomorrow. I suppose now I ought to write that poem that Monica wants. My mind feels so hazy though, I can't think what to write about. I pull up my notebook and sit down at my desk to flip through it, looking for inspiration. There are plenty of stories about escapism into fantasy worlds, that's to be expected. Lots of poems about a storm? I don't know what that means. Aha. There's another significant difference in her character between Act 1 and 2. And several about my cutting habit, but the ones about my cutting habit are all about anguish, self-loathing, and deep emotional pain. I don't remember writing any of these, but they're in my handwriting, so I was definitely the one who wrote them. I looked through the whole notebook, and I can't find a single poem about how enjoyable cutting myself is. It's as if I disliked my cutting habit for years, and then suddenly started liking it today without any memory of the transition. You're almost there, Yuri. You're almost there. Is this issue going to keep coming up over and over again? I wonder if I've always had memory problems, but I just can't remember them. That's a bit of a conundrum now that I think about it. There's clearly some kind of serious discrepancy in my life. I can't ignore this. Well, whatever I may have felt before, it's pretty clear that I'm a lot happier now, and if I can't remember the reasons that I wanted to stop cutting myself, then maybe they're not important. In fact, maybe that's why I was so miserable in the first place, because I was giving up the only thing I enjoyed. Must have had a very empty life. Maybe it's just as well that I can't remember it. Maybe I'll write about it, this ghost of a life that I used to have. Once the idea comes to me, I'm able to write it down quickly. I write the title at the top, Ghost Under the Light. It's a little short, but anything I add to it will seem like unnecessary padding. And incidentally, I am aware that the Ghost Under the Light isn't a perfect fit for this scene. But, I worked with what I had. It's like it sort of almost fits, I think. Oh well, moving on. Now that it's done, I can turn my attention to other matters. This lack of pockets in my uniform just won't do. The blazer's little flaps that look like they're supposed to resemble pockets, but that's it. What's the point of having fake pockets? I'll never understand. Yeah, that's another women's clothing thing. Fake pockets. I bring up my sewing kit. With a bit of work, I'm able to add a pocket to the front of my blazer. It's just a matter of cutting a hole under that useless flap on the front and then adding some material on the inside from some old clothes I don't care about. When I'm done, I test it, wearing it over my pajamas, and repeatedly putting Vernita in the pocket and taking her out again. It's kind of a cute image, actually. Imagining Yuri in his pajamas with her blazer over them. Anyway, moving on. I'm quite pleased with the results. I'll be able to have much easier access to my knives at school from now on. I think that's a good note to end the day on. I get ready for bed, dreamily looking forward to tomorrow and all the wonderful tomorrows to come. And we're into day 2. And I think that is a good note to save and... Oh, I have to go to another page. To save and, yeah. Leave it for now. That's the start of Act 1. I've been entertaining myself watching Let's Play videos of various people going through this. And people noting how disturbing it's gotten in Act 1. And I'm sitting here thinking, you haven't seen anything yet. This is gonna get a lot worse. Like, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Making this mod has been an experiment in seeing how dark I can let my mind get, or how horrific I can let things get. And it's just gonna get more horrible. Fair warning. So, but yeah, that's enough for now. So I'm going to say until next time.